Welcome to the Restoring Christian Culture podcast. I'm Dan Sevigny, your host for today, and I'm joined by my good friend, John Garcia. First time on the podcast, John.
That's right.
John's a good friend of the ranch, board member for the Restoring Christian Culture Initiative, and today we're going to talk about a subject, I think, John, that's really on your heart, and I think it'll be great for those that are listening because we were talking before we got started. So often when you start to become more traditional, there's things that we've never heard of that kind of get sprung on us. And so today's subject, we're going to talk about one of those.
That's right. We're going to talk, today's the 108th anniversary of the apparition at Fatima. So we're going to talk about that, and then we'll lead into the first 5 Saturday devotion to the Immaculate Heart, which no one really teaches you how to be a trad. You just kind of, we're traditional. You just stumble in, and then you hear the priest saying, well, we got First Friday coming up, First Saturday. And you're looking at yourself like, what are those devotions? They're not really on any calendar anywhere, or they may be on a traditional calendar, but you won't see those. And I never experienced those when I was going to Novus Ordo. It's when I started going to traditional Latin Mass. I found out about these devotions. They may have been there. I just didn't know about them.
Right. I would be honest with you. I didn't either. That wasn't something that I grew up practicing. And, so when you hear about these particular feasts or these, anniversaries, for a lot of us, it's just something that's very, very new. We've not experienced it. And then we'd like to know more. So before we begin, let's definitely say, neither one of us are experts on this. I certainly am not. But hopefully this discussion will shed some light on, what's going on, particularly on today, the day that we're recording. And then also, a little bit about that first Saturday devotion.
Right.
So give us some insight, John.
Okay. So 108 years ago, the 3 children, Portuguese children, were shepherds, near and dear to my heart because I have sheep. And they were out in the field, and the Virgin Mary appeared to them. I'm going to paraphrase because there's a lot of history goes into that. But and she appeared to them, and they were initially frightened. Now, these children were 9 years old, 8, and 7. So I have a 9-year-old. So if a 9-year-old came to me and says, hey, this beautiful lady appeared to me, I'm not too sure I would believe them either, because I know the parents gave them a lot of grief to a point, even put in front of the parish priest, and I believe the bishop came down at one point. And I just would have a hard time believing my 9-year-old believe. But all the scrutiny these kids were put through, they never wavered. They said, no, this lady appeared to us. She didn't tell them their name initially. Just she said she would tell them her name later, which was in October 13th, is when she revealed who she was. Yeah. Became Our Lady of the Rosary, which is also on the Lydia and Loretto, Our Lady of the Rosary. So she appeared, and initially Lucia said, what will you have me do, or I'm at your service? And she asked them to come back for the next several days on the 13th at noon, and she would tell them what she wanted. Initially, Lucia asked if they were going to heaven, and she said yes. And she said, but there was 3 of them. There was a boy named Francisco, and she said, he's not going to go to, he needs to do a lot of rosaries prior to going to heaven. And these are 3 little shepherd kids with no social media or anything. So I can imagine how many rosaries you and I are going to have to do.
We better start right now at double time.
Right. And then, so they went back and they promised not to tell anybody. And of course, having a 9-year-old girl, they can't keep a secret for anything. And I'll tell something to my daughters, like, hey, don't tell your mom. And by the time we got home, mom already knows, right? Right. So then word got out. Initially, they were not going to go back because the 13th of June is also the big feast in Portugal, the St. Anthony de Padua, which is huge. And if you watch the 1930 movie produced by Warner Brothers, and Fulton Sheen talks about it on one of his shows, it's a big feast. They bless the bread, they come out, they do a nice little ceremony. The kids initially, Jacinta and Francisco went to the apparition. The parents of Lucia said not to go, but she ended up leaving the celebration and went. And there were several people there already. And then she appeared to them again and told them, pray the rosary every day, and pray for her Immaculate Heart, and that the world would end. I mean, World War I is going on. That would end soon. So those messages kept coming, and then every 13th of every month, more and more people would show up to a point where their whole farm was destroyed. It was called the Cova de Ira. And every 13th, like I said, they would show up to a point where even the authorities arrested these. I couldn't imagine the county sheriff coming up and rounding up my 9-year-old daughter, and then you don't see her for 2 or 3 days. And then the sheriff threatening to put them in oil, boarding oil, and they still did not waver. And to a point, even in the movie, I have to verify, I think this is true in the movie as well, as I've read the books, that they were doing the rosary with the prisoners inside the jail, that they were that devoted. And then it culminates all the way in October with the Miracle of the Sun, with 70 to 100,000 people being present. She appeared. She said, "I'm the Lady of the Rosary. Pray the Rosary." And then that, of course, that was even by atheist newspapers were amazed that this apparition happened. And later on, after the 2 children had died and Lucia stayed, the Virgin Mary appeared to Lucia at a convent in Spain. I think it was 1925. Yeah, 1925. And she said, the time has come to consecrate Russia to Immaculate Heart. You need to go to the bishop. The bishop needs to go to the Pope, and the Pope needs to, with all the bishops of the world, consecrate Russia, or she'll continue to spread her errors. And then she also said, she gave them what we call the First Saturday devotions, which is, I'm going to read it here so I don't mess it up. But so attend 5 consecutive First Saturday devotions, go to confession, pray the 5 decades of the Rosary, receive communion within that weekend, keep Our Lady a company for 15 minutes, and then offer each of these acts of reparation for the blasphemies committed against the Immaculate Heart. So that's the devotion that they do the first Friday. So you do 5. And the first time I went, it's kind of funny because if you go to confession somewhere, you can normally walk right in, right? You go to church and there's no one waiting. Well, if you go to a traditional mass and you walk in 5 minutes before, I mean, the line is out the door. I mean, So first Friday, first Saturday, you need to show up at least an hour early. The traditionals take that serious. I do. We try not to miss the first Fridays and first Saturdays. And sometimes it's, if you're having an hour and a half drive, you're going Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then sometimes there's a feast day on a Monday, so you're going Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But that's all my kids know now, so I think they appreciate. And then they get to eat out on first Fridays and first Saturdays. We normally take them
That's
out.
great.
Yeah.
Well, we've been happy here. We've been able to have this probably going for about 9 months that we've had the first Saturday devotions, the mass that be said out here at the ranch, and you see the devoted folks that know a ton about the story. But I think, like we were talking, so many people are unaware of what Our Lady has told us to do, and I'll confess to everybody that's watching right now. It's still something that is just, the day gets away from you and you haven't done that, and we've got to get back. It needs to be probably the key to restoring a Christian culture is to restore the prayers of the Rosary as Our Lady has commanded us to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so pray the Rosary every day. And I think that's important. And every time she appeared to him, she said, pray the Rosary every day in reparation for the blasphemies. And I mean, I guess at the time they were going through a socialist revolution. But she also, I mean, if you want to know what the blasphemies were, is against her Immaculate Conception, which we know there's some consternation with other denominations that don't believe that, or her perpetual virginity, her divine majesty or maternity, and then blasphemies against her sacred images. So that's why you'll get pushback from a lot of folks and saying, well, you guys worship Mary, you do this, and I think we honor our mother. I don't think there's any worship that goes on, and
but that is hard. I remember when I was young, I grew up in New Hampshire, in southern Maine, and we used to laugh. There was always Mary in the bathtub. That's how they did it up there. Took the bathtub, stuck it in the ground, and there was a statue of Our Lady. And there were a lot of people that when you talk to the old French ladies, we would call them the blue hairs. When you would talk to them, they're like, "Oh, I pray to Maria," and I'm like, it was hard for me as a kid that that wasn't really in my family. There wasn't a huge devotion to Our Lady. My mom was a convert to the faith, and so it just wasn't what we did all the time. So there was a lot of confusion because I think even in our language, what we talk about, some people see us and they go, "Oh, great! They just said that they're praying to Mary," and so that is there. So it's good to have that clarification. That no, what are we doing as Catholics? We are seeking the intercession of Our Lady,
Right.
The most perfect human being, fully human, that has ever been there. Although, as pregnant with our Savior Jesus Christ, she would have shared blood.
Right.
The only one to do that in that particular way. So, if anyone has the ear of our Savior, it's got to be his mom.
Well, it's your kids when they're in trouble. Who do they go first? They go, "Hey, mom, can you go ask dad this?" I don't know if that works. At least in my place. So dads tend to be a little bit more strict, and you go through the mom, and the mom will soften up and I believe that's how Our Lady works. Is she softens up her son, and then God the Father and then she does a lot of intercession. I think there's many miracles. I mean, just the miracle of the sun to begin with, 70,000. Imagine that's the size of the Dallas Cowboy Stadium, watching the sun basically come at you. Like it is today, a nice sunny day, and just dropping on you, and you think you're going to die. It's raining, it's pouring. We'll go back to the apparition on the 13th of October. It's absolutely pouring. People are mocking them, the poor kids. The parents think they're going to die.
Right.
And then the sun comes out, dries them in a matter of seconds. The sun falls. Many people were healed from some were blind, some couldn't walk. So I believe, that these intercessions and having a devotion to the Blessed Mother is important. Even, the Pope that just came out the other day, right? Pope Leo 13th. A lot 14th. Of us, 14th. I'm sorry, I'm a 13th fan. But I thought it was important to start off his pontificate. He came out and asked for he did the Hail Mary in Latin, right? Right. And then he sang the Regina Coeli, and he did a few other things. And it's funny that I was talking to another friend about this. I was like, these are Catholic things that we used to do routinely, and we're surprised that the Pope is doing them, right? And I just think that's the way it always probably was.
Yep.
With social media now and media the way it is, everything's instantaneous. And just to see the Holy Father do that, I was happy with that. I'm very happy to hear anything like that. You mentioned that to me when he was at Sound of Martyr, I think, and the people were yelling his name, "Viva Papa," and he said, "Viva Mary."
Yes.
So to have a Marian devotion, I think is important. Even to have American Pope is quite unique.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because as a couple of guys, one of the things that we run into a lot here, we try to bring the guys together for gatherings and get the men back in church, because we know if the men are going to church, our families are probably a lot more likely to go to church. And having a Marian devotion, I've noticed in some cultures, that's a big deal. Like it's what they do right away. But for other cultures, that's not the thing that the guys do. I probably had a little bit of that growing up myself too. So, what's your advice? When you meet a guy that's just coming into the traditional side of the faith, what's your advice for, getting that Marian devotion?
So I grew up in New Mexico. So we have our devotion is Our Lady of Guadalupe. That's everywhere. You even have guys that I don't recommend, but there used to be this famous boxer who had Our Lady of Guadalupe. I was on his back, actually. He ended up, he's dead, but God rest his soul. But I just remember that it's everywhere. Our Lady of Guadalupe is everywhere in New Mexico. And I think that a lot of folks in New Mexico, so it was second nature to me to have a devotion to Our Lady. And then I had a grandmother that did the rosary every single day. So it wasn't hard for me. I just never did the rosary till I was about 30. Every day.
Wow.
I just remember going to a parish here in San Antonio, and if folks may know, there was a blind priest. His name was Father, I forget his name, Father Pat. I'll try to remember his name. And it was given it was a Advent devotion, and he said, "Hey, pray the rosary for Advent." So it's at 30-some days, 40 days. So my wife and I went to the parish mission, and we sat down every day. And I think we started off with 10.
Right.
And then because we had the kids and they were running around killing each other and murder, it was like, and the kids would fall asleep and I'm yelling, I'm losing my mind. I'll have to go to confession before even the rosary was even over, right? And but we continued, and then part of the parish mission was to come out after Advent. So we came back. He's like, now that you guys have done the rosary for all 40 days or 30 some days, continue on. And I think we dropped away. Then we went back the next year for Lent that same year, and we started doing it ever since. And we no matter how tired we are, the kids are asleep, or one of us in the family. Well, my wife is pretty good about it. We'll always do the rosary every day. Normally with the kid, we have to do it with the kids because, like I said, initially we were cheat. We'd go, well, I'm going to do 10. Oh, let's do the Chaplet of Divine Mercy instead. But that's not what Our Lady said. Our Lady said, pray the rosary every day. So we just started praying the rosary, and it's kind of we call it battle rhythm. It's kind of what we do every day. If we're in the car or we're traveling, I'll call my daughter who's in college. Hey, did you pray the rosary? She's like, yeah, I did. Because that's something it was hard initially, but now I think it's part of we can't live without it. It's kind of like taking a shower in the morning or brush your teeth. You got to do the rosary every day. So having the devotion to guys, get back to your question for guys is, it has to be manly. I think men leading, and this is nothing against women that lead the rosary in a parish or anything, but if they see a nice strong man or the dad up there with the rosary in his hand and it's manly, like this one's made out of ox bone and 9mm cartridges, right? And there's some really I think that's manly. That's like your armor, right? I remember I had one that was a nice big one, and I never wear it around, but one of the guys here wears it. I was like, I like it. And so I wore one at a restaurant one day, and some lady, the waitress came up to me. She's like, where'd you get that rosary from? And I told her, I was like, hey, it's from this guy. And I gave her his Instagram, but never thought I would affect people like that. But
right.
And I wasn't doing it to get glory or anything. I was just doing it because I wanted, I felt inspired. But apparently I affected 2 people because they came and took pictures of it. And it was a big rosary. It wasn't godly or anything.
But I think that's what we need to do. If we're going to, be part of restoring that Christian culture, the rosary is just such a great way to do that. It's great to have it. This is the month of May.
Right.
So obviously the month of the rosary. Even here at Sanctus, many probably don't know this, but on the 31st of this month, on May 31st, that's the feast of the Queenship of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And so what we'll be doing here at the ranch is you're going to be helping me out. We're going to start the day before on the 30th at 1:00, and we're going to pray perpetual rosaries for 24 hours, all the way through 1:00 the next day. On Saturday, the feast day itself, we'll have a 9:30 Mass. We'll also have a rosary procession. We'll crown Mary outside of Regina Chapel. Great way to bring the kids into the rosary, the family into the rosary. And I think that's what you were talking about is, if men are going to lead, especially in the family life, if they lead the rosary, the kids are going to jump on board.
Right. And I think even my 10-year-old son, right? I remember one time he's 11 now, but I saw him doing the rosary, and I was like, wow, so inspired that, 'cause I never told him. He was just doing the rosary, and he's like, hey, Dad, I did the rosary. He was so proud. And sometimes he can even knock out the prayers in Latin. Not that I'm trying to brag. It's just always good when your kids will knock out Latin prayers that they've learned just by listening to the parents. I never taught my son the Hail Mary or the Our Father in Latin. We just say them, and they're like sponges. They picked it up. So if you just do it, it's going to be rough. It's not perfect. It's your house. You can do what you want. I do the litany of Our Lady during the month of May in Latin. I butcher every single word. But they don't say anything. But the one day I didn't do it in Latin, my son was like, why didn't you do it in Latin?
Yeah. So
they learn, and I think they appreciate. And I think it's just a neat language. It's unique, and I think
certainly sacred. It's set apart.
Right. And to the point of why Latin is important, and I'll get back to the Rosary and the Rosary Rally is if you saw the cardinals taking their sacred oath, these are the princes of the church,
right?
And with the exception of Pope Leo XIV and a few other ones, they struggled singing. They did. And this was the language, not maybe 20 years ago. Every single cardinal and bishop knew Latin, and I'm not faulting them. I just think it's the way that's what happened to the vernacular took that sacred language away from them,
right?
And hopefully with Leo XIV, that it seems like he's doing a lot more things in Latin. He's giving prayers. And it was neat to see the folks when he was saying in the Vatican, in the St. Peter's School. A lot of people knew the responses, which was good, to the Regina Coeli, Order Pro Nobis, and all the other stuff. So that's good to know that it's picking up, or maybe people just need to start brush off the old lectionary and yeah. But getting back to so last year we did how many rosaries last year?
I think it was just a little under 1,600.
1,600 rosaries in a week, right?
Yep, it was a 5-day rosary rally.
So this year we're trying to shoot for.
We'd like to do 500 in that 24-hour period.
Oh, that should be. I think.
We should be. And so, anyone's welcome to come out, join us, do that. There's something just pretty neat, too, about just setting aside that time to pray the rosary. I will tell you, as we've done this will be the third year that we have some version of this rosary revival here. Every single year, that's been when something has been revealed that God's looking for me to do. That's typically when I'm leaning on Our Lady and saying, hey, listen, bring this to him. What am I supposed to do with this? And an answer of some sort comes through. So it's a good thing. And I think that there's plenty for us to pray for in the church today and where we're going.
Right. I mean, maybe we can set something up for folks to send us petitions.
Yeah.
And we can put them in maybe a big box or something.
Absolutely.
And then maybe Facebook, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Something they can send. And I wouldn't mind praying for folks while we're here. I think I got graveyard from 2 to 3 in the morning or something like that. So that's plenty of time now. I got a lot of prayers. Yeah. I don't remember how many I did last year. I know I would come at, I think, 10 to 11 for the week. And it was a good time to, you can knock out your rosaries. You can do all your prayers.
Right.
Especially when folks are sick, mom or dad or uncle. Rosaries, it's not just a bunch of empty words. I do believe there's some power in the rosary, or else, I think every apparition Mary's come, she said, pray the rosary.
Right.
Even, I think Our Lady of Lourdes, she said, pray the rosary.
Yeah.
And then Fatima, of course. So I think there's something to it. They keep telling us, she keeps telling us to do it. I think we should obey.
Absolutely. Well, it's a great day to kind of talk about it, to talk about, when she appeared to in Fatima. It's great for us to be thinking about what do we need to do now? How can we go out there, pray the rosary? So this is our encouragement. Get out there, pray the rosary. If it's challenging, it's been challenging for John. It's been challenging for me. But it's just something we've got to commit to because then the graces will flow from that experience over and over.
Yeah, or just go to YouTube and pray. There's plenty of, just let them play and you just do the responses. Amen. Or, getting back to Fatima, is the 2 movies I would recommend on the feast day for your kids is the 1931, the 31 from Warner Brothers, and then there's one called The 13th Day. It's modern a little bit. It's mostly in black and white until the apparition happens, then the whole movie's in color. And it's kind of like a dark movie the entire time, but the acting is real good. And I think that depicts the story really good, the struggles that the parents had, and I just think it's those are good to watch on feast days. I think that's what we probably need, as part of restoring Christian culture is watching like holy movies with your kids instead of whatever, Pokemon or Minecraft or whatever my kids like to do. And it's like, hey, today's the feast of Our Lady of Fatima. We're going to watch the movie Our Lady of Fatima, and I think we own all of them on Amazon now. We have Lourdes, Fatima, and the Bible, the Passion of Christ. Those are all ones that you got to just keep them in your arsenal to have the kids watch them, if you let your kids watch TV.
That's right.
So.
Well, there's our encouragement. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the Restoring Christian Culture podcast. It's great. Go out there, learn a little bit more about Our Lady of Fatima. Get into the rosary. Let us know if there are some that are watching and you got intentions for us for our May 31st, 30th and 31st episode and our event here. Definitely send that in, and we'll look forward to catching you more next time on the Restoring Christian Culture podcast.